Welcome to Pangaea's Wisdom, where the old ways speak in a new tongue. I am Trey, your griot and root worker, carrying stories of our ancestors, their symbols, their power, and their fire. Here, we honor Hoodoo, Yoruba, Vodou, and the many rivers of African spirituality that still flow through us today. This isn't just history, it's living memory, it's medicine, it's the map to our survival. So walk with me, learn with me, and together, let's call the spirits by their true names. Sacred symbols have served as a profound language of power and communication across African and African diaspora traditions, particularly in Yoruba and Vodou practices. These weren't mere decorative marks, but rather sophisticated systems for connecting with spiritual forces and preserving cultural memory. Before written language, these symbols formed a tactile and visual vocabulary that opened gates between the physical and spiritual realms. In traditional Yoruba culture, divination symbols known as Odu Ifa formed a complex spiritual language. Diviners would cast palm nuts and interpret the resulting patterns on their Opon Ifa, or divination tray. Each Odu represents an entire universe of meaning, containing proverbs, parables, and historical wisdom. These weren't random markings. They were carefully preserved repositories of communal knowledge that could guide entire communities through challenges and transitions. The Yoruba pantheon expressed itself through distinct symbolic representations. Shango, the thunder deity, was represented by the double-headed axe, Oshe, symbolizing balance and justice. The axe embodies both the swift strike of lightning and the careful weighing of judgment. Ogun, deity of iron and warfare, manifested through tools and weapons. From machetes to railroad spikes to plows, any implement forged in fire became his living mark. Oshun's presence was marked by mirrors and brass, along with honey and the gentle curves that echo flowing water. Yamaya, mother of oceans, revealed herself through cowrie shells and patterns of 7 waves, with blue and white circles, mirroring the relationship between tide and womb. When Africans were forcibly brought to the Americas during the Middle Passage, these symbolic traditions evolved into new forms, particularly the Veve of Haitian Vodou. Veve are intricate geometric patterns drawn on the ground using substances like cornmeal, ash, powdered brick, or even gunpowder. They serve as landing pads for spirits or loa, with each pattern corresponding to a specific spiritual entity. When ceremonies begin and drums sound, these patterns are said to glow with unseen energy as the loa manifest. Key Veve patterns include Papa Legba's crossroads design, with its intersecting spirals and key motifs. He is the essential first contact, as no other spirit will respond without his permission. Baron Samedi's bold Veve incorporates coffins, crosses, bones, and a top hat, rendered in ash, combining death's gravity with sacred humor. Erzuli Freda's pattern flows with curves and hearts in delicate lacework, mapping beauty's domain. Ogu's Veve cuts sharp angles with machetes and military imagery, making martial power visible. The connection between Yoruba symbols and Vodou Veve reveals several crucial principles. Both systems function as living contracts with spiritual forces, and Odu doesn't just represent destiny, but manifests it. While a Veve physically brings forth the Loa's presence, they preserve cultural memory and language, allowing African wisdom to persist even when native tongues were forbidden. They serve community needs through divination and protection, and they require reciprocity through offerings and proper protocol. To call a spirit without giving in return is considered theft. This symbolic language proved crucial for cultural survival during slavery. When African languages were forbidden, these visual codes allowed spiritual practices and cultural knowledge to continue in secret. A simple heart scratched in ash could silently invoke Erzuli. A carved double axe could maintain connection with Shango despite Christian suppression. Even in the darkest times of bondage, these symbols reminded practitioners they were not abandoned. The spirit still answered when called correctly. In contemporary practice, these symbolic traditions remain vital. Root workers continue to chalk protective X's under thresholds, carve sigils into candles, and sprinkle powder in defensive patterns. If a priest maintain traditional divination practices, while Vodou ceremonies still begin with carefully drawn Veve on temple floors, The symbols have also entered broader cultural expression through murals, jewelry, and tattoos, not as mere fashion, but as assertions of cultural sovereignty and connection to ancestral wisdom. The psychological power of these symbols transcends conscious understanding. Even without formal knowledge of their meaning, these patterns can evoke deep responses because they tap into archetypal energies recognized by the subconscious mind. A crossroads symbol, for instance, might trigger an instinctive recognition of its power as a liminal space between worlds. This demonstrates why, even without knowing a Veve's specific name or purpose, viewers can feel its spiritual weight. For those interested in respectfully engaging with this tradition, starting with simple practices is recommended. Drawing a basic crossroads pattern with an offering of water and candlelight can serve as an introduction to working with spiritual symbols. While this isn't a full ritual, it introduces the basic grammar of spirit work: a sign, an offering, and a request. The key is approaching with genuine respect rather than casual curiosity. These symbolic systems represent more than historical artifacts. They are living technologies of spiritual connection and cultural resilience. They carried African wisdom across the Middle Passage, preserved identity under oppression, and continue to provide meaning and power in contemporary practice. They remind us that sacred communication exists beyond written words, in patterns that speak directly to spirit and soul. The endurance of these symbolic traditions demonstrates their essential role in maintaining cultural continuity and spiritual practice. From Yoruba divination marks to Vodou Veve, they represent sophisticated systems for encoding wisdom, facilitating spiritual connection, and preserving community knowledge. Their ongoing relevance speaks to both their practical power and their deep resonance with human consciousness. In every line drawn and pattern traced, they carry forward an unbroken conversation between the visible and invisible worlds. This living legacy continues to evolve while maintaining its core purpose, creating doorways between worlds, preserving wisdom, and empowering communities. Whether found in traditional ceremonies or contemporary art, these sacred marks remain a vital language of spirit, as relevant today as when they were first traced in African soil.